responsibility to recover the data. Okay, so if we have a database backup, we can able to achieve that goal. So in SQL Server, we have different types of backups to safeguard the data in the database. So that is called backing up the data from the database. Based on the recovery models, your data will be logging to your database, and the data will be available in your transaction log file. Either you can keep the database in simple or full or bulk log recovery model. So in SQL Server, we have three major backup types. Those are full database backup. Second one is differential database backup, and the other one is transactional log backup. Okay, so what will happen if we take a full database backup? So full database backup, it backs up the database. That includes database includes data files and log file. Correct. A database contains a pages, group of pages is called extent, a group of extents is called a file, a group of files is called a file group. Apart from the data part, we do have log file. So whenever we initiate a full backup, it will back up the content from the database. It includes data pages, the database files data, the pages in the data files, and the content from the active content in the transaction log file. So what is a differential backup? Sirisha, any guess what is a differential backup?
It's like taking different, grouping the database and taking the backup.
No. Okay. So let us say I have a huge database. It is of 10 TB. Okay. So to back up 10 TB database, it will take, let us say, 24 hours. Okay. So if I initiate a full backup every time, my process will take 24 hours to complete it, rather than every time taking the complete data. If there is any possibility to take the changes, only backup the only changes, so I can able to recover something goes wrong. I will have the data in hand, correct? So let us say I have first 100 records. On top of that, 2 records added. On top of that, 2 records added. Later, 1 record removed, and then 2 records added. After that, again 4 records added. So before I take the first backup, I have 100 records. So after that, in my database, I have these are the changes that happen, right? So rather than taking the complete thing one more time, I do already have 100 records. Okay. On top of it, if I can back up the records that are modification that happen after my previous backup, so I can able to achieve something goes wrong, right? Previously I do have this information. Now I am backing up the changes, correct? So differential backup is nothing but backing up the changes that happen from the previous database full backup. So if you initiate a database differential backup, it backs up the changes that are happen onto the database after the previous full backup. How SQL Server know what are the changes that are happen onto the database after the full backup, right? So if you keep track of that information, like these are the changes, these are the records that are modified after the full backup, then I know that these are the things I need to backup. If I don't know that information, how can I backup? In SQL Server keeps track of the changes that happen after the full backup. That is called, who will take care of that? That is differential change mapper. That is a differential change map. That is a parity bit that keeps track of differential uh, uh, keeps track of the extents that are get modified after the full backup. That is a parity. The value would be 1 or 0. This parity, this DCM page will keep track of the extents which are who are modified after the full backup. So whenever I initiate a differential backup, what SQL Server do? It will read the data from differential DCM page, and it will go to particular extent, and it will backs up the data from those pages. Differential backup contains the changes that happen from the previous full backup and the active content from transaction log file. So full backup, it backs up the data available in the database pages and the active content in the transaction log file, because the database contains data files and log files. So along with your database pages data, and then the active content in your transaction log file. Okay. The other one is transaction log file. So what is a transaction log file? Transaction log file backup is nothing but it's backup the content which is available in transaction log file. So when we are discussing about the recovery models, we were discussing about transaction log backup. If the data is available in the transaction log file, data means the records. Whenever we do a transaction, the corresponding transaction related information will be logged in your transaction log file, and then only the dirty page will be written into the disk. That is right ahead logging mechanism. So the transactions will be logging in your transaction log file. Those transactions can be backed up by using transaction log backup. Once the log backup is complete, those transactions will be truncated. So in which recovery model we can take the transaction log backup? Pooja, the question is, in which recovery model we can take the transaction log backup? Sirisha,
Log model.
sorry?
Bulk log model.
Okay. And yes, in bulk log mode,
And full.
correct. So in full and bulk log model, the data is available in transaction log transaction log files. You can able to backup them. Coming to simple, when the transaction is complete, the data will be written into the disk after the checkpoint happen, and then the data will be removed from transaction log file. That's the reason the log file usage in the database with the simple recovery model will be very minimal. Since the data is not available in a transaction log file, you cannot backup the transaction log file if the database is simple recovery model. So transaction log backup is possible only if the database is in full recovery model or bulk log recovery model. So we'll spend more time on the lab scenarios. So what is a full backup and how it will happen, and when you initiate a database backup, what will happen in the backend? We will see it. So when you run a full backup, what will happen first? It will keeps a lock on your database, that is a shared lock on your database, and then it will issue a checkpoint, right? So while discussing about checkpoint, so we have discussed about the few scenarios where the checkpoint will be yes issued along with your apart from your its a regular interval. So one is whenever we initiate a full backup, so it will keeps a shared lock on your database, and then it will issue a checkpoint. Okay, after that the entry will be the backup related entry will be marked in your system table, that is called backup set in your MSDB database, and then starting backup start entry it will mark in your MSDB backup set, and then it will copy the pages from database and the active content one by one, and then once the database backup is complete, it will mark the last LSN details in your backup set table, and it will mark it as a operation complete. So we will see all this in your lab scenario. So if you want to take a database backup, right click on any database, go to tasks, backup. Here we'll have backup type, full, differential, transaction log backup. Database name, select the database name. Okay, and then so if you want to take the backup, the result of the backup will be a file. The file extension of that file is .bak for full and differential backup, .trn for transaction log backup. See here, I want to add the location for those backup file. By default, it is referring to the D program files mssql.10. Instance name mssql backup. If you remember, while we are doing the installation, the data directory location, there is an option to uh, assign a data directory for database files, backup, right? Tempdb files. So that is the location it is referring. If you want, you can, if you by default location would be this installation directory location. So if you can, you always can change this location whenever you are taking the backup. So I'm changing to new location, practice. I'm choosing the location for backup. So it is not detecting. Let me cancel it. The program files, practice, tasks, backup, database name, and type of the backup is full backup. And choosing the existing one I am removing. I am adding a new location. I am browsing to the location that is called practice. Why it is not coming? Okay, I created it. Program files, in program files, database backup. Okay, so the database, this is the selected path for your backup file, and the backup file extension is .bak or .trn. .bak for your full backup and differential backup, and .trn for your transaction log backup. So SQL Server will allow any extension. So you may not to give .bak or .trn for the backup files. You can give any file extension. SQL Server will allow, and the backup file name lab database underscore full backup underscore. So here file name I have given. If you see here, backup component, what we are taking? We are taking the database backup. The other one is files and file groups. This one we will discuss after some time. So now we are taking the complete database backup. That is called, the other option is files or file group. That is a part of a database. So we can have a option to backup a file or multiple files, a file group or group of file groups. That is partial database. You can back up by using the other option. So right now we are taking the backup of complete database. Next, here if you see here, backup to disk or tape. Disk, disk device, tape, tape is nothing but a third-party media which is available, third-party storage which is available in a network. A storage device which is available in our network. It's kind of a external hard device. How we will we can call it as a external hardware device. Okay, so if we keep our external hard disk to our computer, so we are connecting to external hard disk to our computer and we are uh, backing up on it. Similarly, a tape devices are external to the system. It will be available in the network. We will be storage media, that is also a storage media. We will be connecting the external storage device and will keeping our backup files in a network storage media. So right now I am taking under the disk. If you go to options here, if you see append to the existing backup set, overwrite the existing backup set. So if you are taking first time, it will create a fresh backup set. A name will be creating to your backup operation, that is called backup set. A fresh backup set will be created. So here if you see, one more option is called database compression. Set the backup compression. Use the default server setting. Okay, we will discuss after some time. So I have given the database name to backup, what kind of backup we are taking, and the backup component is complete database. Okay, and then the location for my backup file. So let me script it. So there is one option that is called status. So what will happen? The stats, it will let us know how much percentage is complete. Okay, so I just scripted the file to a new query window. We will see this operation, how can we perform using TSQL. Okay, so backup, we are taking to the database name, on which database we are taking the backup, and to which location you are taking. N is nothing but the location. Whenever you are passing a parameter, it will come, n will be coming. So if you want, you can specify .back. So this is database full backup syntax. Here, apart from that, if you want to pass any parameter to your backup database backup syntax, you will use with keyword. Okay, no format. You need not to format the existing backup set. This is the name of your description of your backup. And stats, whenever a 10% is complete, you show me the percentage. When you're doing GUI, you can see that when you're performing it in a query analyzer, based on the stats value, it will show. Once the percentage is complete, you can the percentage will be logged. We will see in both. Okay, so before that I just wanted to show you MSDB database tables. The table name is backup set. So I just wanted to read the data from backup set. Select star from dbo dot backup set. It will not run because what error saying? Invalid object name, because it is referring in your master database, but this database is in, this table is in MSDB database. Either you have to change your database to MSDB or else use MSDB dot. Correct. This one we discussed, right? I am executing it. If you see backup set ID, so this table is empty. Now what I am doing is I am taking the backup database backup. Database name, for type of backup. I specified the location for those backup. I'm running it, clicking on OK. So this backup is going to disk. See here, if you see here the percentage in GUI, you can see the value, how much percentage it is completed. So in query analyzer, here by using the option keyword with the database option, sorry, the backup operator stats, whenever 2% is complete, it will log in our messages. So now the backup is complete. I'm clicking on OK. Now I'll go to the physical location, database backup. If you see here, the database backup is created on the specified location. Correct. This contains database backup. So now what I will do, I am taking next, here I am specifying this time what I am doing. So to avoid the confusion, format and these options I am removing. So backup database, the database name, to disk, I am taking to the disk, the location of this database, I mean that the backup file, and a name I have given for my backup file, right? And then with stats, that means whenever 2% is complete, show me. I passed it complete. Execute. If you see here 2% and then 9%, so we mention like whenever 2% is complete, show me. But if you see here 249, it came different values, not in a 2 4 6 8 10 like that, because since the database is small, before it logged to the value that complete, it is reaching more percentage. That's the reason it is giving like this. If the database is more, how much value is specified, once that percentage is complete, how much percentage it is processed. Here by the time it print 6% is complete, but at the time already 9% is complete. By the time it print for 10% is complete, it already completed 14%. Okay, since the database is pretty small. Okay, so this, if you see here at the end, yes, see here, processed 160 pages for the database. So what it backed up on file 1, this database, okay, and then processed one page for database, this one log file on log related information from the transaction log file, corresponding pages related to the pages from data file, it has been backed up. So what we discussed, full backup, it backups complete database includes database pages and the information, active information which is available in transaction log file. So what it will do, it backs up the corresponding pages to those information which is available in a transaction log file. If you see here, let me sp underscore help db of database name. What is my database name? lab1 db. If you see here, how many files are there? This is one file, this is one file, this is data file, this is log file. Okay, if you see, if you still remember our previous backup, okay, I could have taken in see, it is referring the same files db1, and I'm opening one more new query. So file1, it means database file, and database underscore log, this is log file. So whenever you take the full backup, what is happening? It is backing up complete data from those database files and the even the content from transaction log file. See, clear here, it is clearly you can see. Okay, fine. Next, let us go back and see what data it is my backup set contains. So before we do our backup, we ran the same query. We try to read the data from backup set. The table was empty. Now if you see, so it contains the information of your backup. So who has taken? Okay. What is the LSN details? What is the last LSN details? What is the checkpoint LSN? Since we don't have any transactions, the checkpoint LSN is common. The database backup LSN, right? Whenever a database happens, what it will do? It will keep a shared lock on the database, and then it will issue a checkpoint, and then right, it will start the first LSN of your database, and then a record the start time database backup start time. It will enter in your backup set table, and then it starts backing up data from your database files. So it will backs up the pages, and then once the database files, primary files, secondary files complete, then it will come to the transaction log file. So why it has to back up the transaction log file? Means when the full backup is running, the transactions are parallelly it is happening, right? At that time, those active content also needs to backed up, else we will be losing the data as well. So don't get confused, we will discuss in a real-time scenario. Those active portion from the transaction log file will be backed up, so those corresponding file pages also backed up from transaction log file, and then once that backup is complete, it it enter the backup last LSN, and then it will enter the backup finish time, and it will mark it as the database is complete. Okay, this is full backup. Now the other backup type is differential backup. Differential backup is the one which uh, backs up the changes that occurred after full database backup. Okay, let me demonstrate with an example. Now my database Does it have any table? Now I am creating a new table. See, my database is having data in it, right? First, I'm taking a full database backup. I'm executing it. Database backup has been processed. It completed. 100% is completed. 4 pages from data file, and sorry, 168 pages from your data file, and 4 pages based on the data that is available transaction log file. It took 0.298 seconds to process of with the speed of 496 MB per second. So total it backed up 172 pages it backed up. Fine. Now another window. I'm executing it. It has 3 records. Now what I am doing, I'm adding right. I am taking one more window. Now the record is 6. Okay. So these 3 records, it was already there. I added these 3 records. So if I take a differential backup, what data my backup contains? So the definition says the changes that happen from previous full backup. That is, what are the changes that happen from the previous full backup? Till here, full backup is there. After full backup, what are the changes that happen to the database? Those will get backed up. Those are this. How SQL Server will come to know? When the full backup was happened, that information you have your backup set. If you see your backup set, checkpoint LSN. See, right? So now if I take the differential backup, it backs up only the changes that happened after full backup. Clear? Now, so in our example, it has to backup record number 4, 5, 6. Correct? Yes. Let me go ahead and take the differential backup. Right click on your database, task, backup. Backup type is selecting to differential backup. Okay. And then the type of backup is complete database backup. So we are giving any backup set name. We can keep or else it's not mandatory. And which location where the backup file should go. I'm giving that location. Database backup. In database backup location, I'm giving the reason why I'm giving naming convention like date, month, year, and then timestamp, so that if any other DBA reads the file, he should be able to understand what that file is and when it was taken. Okay, .bak, I have specified it. And okay, see the database name, type of the backup type, differential backup, and then to the disk which location it is going. Let me script it out. I am not overriding in the options. Append to the existing, append to override. So this is a fresh, first time I am taking a backup set will be freshly created. Let me minimize it. Similar to the full backup, backup database, database name, that is our user database name, to disk, location of location, and then the file backup file location, backup file name. After that, if you see here, the confusion, let me remove it. For differential backup, the keyword is with differential. If you run this command, what it will happen? A differential backup will happen. If you don't specify with the differential, by default, full backup will trigger. If you want to initiate a differential backup, you have to use keyword called differential. Okay, so we have specified backup database name to the location of the backup file and the backup file name Okay, and then with differential, I am selecting it, I have passed it, right? Executed. Correct. I'm executing.
Srinivas, differential underscore uh, 1045. What is 1045?
No, I just have given timestamp.
Oh, okay, okay.
So let's say if someone new DBA, I mean the person who come to the next shift or any unknown person sees, okay, he should be able to understand what this file is. So here I have given a database name and what kind of database backup it is taking and which day we are taking.
Okay,
That's why I
okay,
have followed the naming convention.
okay.
So if you see here, differential backup is complete. So for differential backup, again, if you see here, database file, data 1 on file 1 and again log 1. So differential backup is backs up the changes that happen onto the database after your previous full backup. From your full backup, what are the changes happen in the database? It will back up those pages and also the content from your transaction log file. So for the corresponding transaction LSN details, those pages will get backed up. See here, log file details. It backed up 2 pages. Okay, let me add few more records. Okay, first I have taken a full backup and then I have taken a differential backup. Full backup, differential backup. Full backup contains complete data on it. This is a differential backup. From the full backup, what are the changes that happen? Those has been recorded it. So coming to our example. So our full backup contains first 3 records. After first 3 records, we added 3 more records. Those 3 records is backed up in your differential backup. So you have a full backup and then differential backup. All together you have complete data, right? Now adding, so yes, I'm adding few more records. So previously when the full backup I had taken, it has 3 records. After full backup, we 3 records has been added. So when the full backup happened, first 3 records has been backed up. When the differential backup happens from the definition, it backs up only the changes that happen from the last full backup. That means it's excluded these three already because these records, these transactions not happened after the full backup. So before the full backup happened, it will exclude and it will back up only the records that are happened after the full backup. Fine. Now what happened? I added few more records. Correct. Now I have added 4 records. Now I am trying to take one more differential back. So database backup completed. I'm going to physical location. I've seen differential backup. One more file. Okay. From our example, so in my example, my table have this data. Correct. The latest differential backup, that is differential backup that had triggered recently, what this backup file contains, how many records it will have.
The last four records. 4 to 10 records.
Yeah. Sirisha, that is wrong. Last four records wrong. Let us again recap the definition of differential backup. So differential backup, it backs up the changes that have happened from the previous full backup. So here the previous full backup happened after till third record our full backup happened. Right after that, what are the changes it happened? Full backup every. These are the
Yes.
correct. If few more records, if I add a few more records, if I add one more. Okay. If I take differential backup again, what will happen? It backs up from the previous full backup. From the previous full backup, what are the changes that happen? All the changes, it will get backed up. Clear? So there can be a duplication of the data. So let us take in a Excel. Weekly full backup, daily differential backup. Again, when I take the differential backup on Monday, Okay, if you see here, so on Sunday when I take the full backup, it backup the data from the database. So when I take the differential backup on Monday, the changes that happen on from the previous backup. So similarly on Tuesday when I take the differential backup, what will happen? So from previous full backup, that is previous full backup, what are the changes that happen? Everything it will be get backed up. Similarly on next day from previous full backup. So in that case you will have a data duplicate of the data, means the data is getting backed up continuously, right? If you see here, next backup full backup happened here, correct? After your next day's full backup, okay, so next consecutive differential backup contains only differential data that happens from previous full backup. So see here, only the changes that happen after full backup. Got it? Let us say in between here, let us say here, if I take a full backup again, if I take a full backup again, if I take a full backup again, this Friday backup, what my Friday backup contains? My Friday backup contains, Srisha, can you answer? In this example, the full backup triggered on Thursday. So Friday backup contains only the changes that happen after Thursday. That is only this.
Friday,
Yeah,
Thursday.
only yes, only it will contains only limited records, right? So because the differential backup mainly depends on previous full backup, right? So the changes that are happen from the previous backup only it is getting backed up. So how the details are getting recorded? Differential change mapper. So here these records, SQL Server says okay, these are the records that are modified after the full backup, because these corresponding extents pages have a differential change map of parity is 1. So here when it is getting backed up, here just checks for DCM either 1 or 0. If it is 1, it will get backed up. That's why you are having a data repeated. In this case, if you have a latest differential backup, can you able to recover it? So you need not to have this. You need not to have, right? This also you need not to have. If you just have previous full backup and latest full backup, you can able to get the data till this point. Agree? If you use these two, you can restore, you can usually to get the data till this point. So if you have this backup, you can able to get the data till point. Right. So in this case, you may not require all this differential backup. If you have a, if you apply the latest differential backup on top of the previous full backup, you can able to recover the data. Correct. So this is full backup and differential backup. Tomorrow we will discuss about the transaction log backup, and then we will see the demo on other one is copy only backup. Copy only is one of the option that is available for SQL Server full and full backup. So what is the use of copy only backup? We will see tomorrow. So if you see, let me run one more time the backup set. We will see the differences here. So what time backup started? If you observe here, my SQL Server agent is down. Okay, my SQL Server agent is down. It's nowhere related to my SQL Server MSDB and its backup. Agent is to automate the DB operations by creating jobs and alerts operators. Right? I am not running via job. I am manually executing the backup. Okay, so even the SQL Server agent is down, I can able to backup it. Now the question is, let us say my MSDB database is crashed or corrupted. Can I take the database backup or not? Okay, so you try that and let me know the answer tomorrow. And also, last week I have given few scenarios. So tomorrow, I will make you one of you as a presenter, and we will see the answers for those questions. Okay. Naga and Sirisha, do you have any questions in today's discussion? Today we have recapped on previous topics, and we discussed about recovery model, and then we have seen the backup types, full and differential transaction of backup. Today we have seen the lab board demonstration for full and differential backup. Tomorrow we'll start with lab scenarios for full and differential, and we will see few more scenarios.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, the question for today's class is, let us say if the MSDB database is crashed, can we able to take the database backup? Okay, so you try to try in your machine, so try to rename the MSDB files and bring up the SQL server and try to take the database backup and see what error or why it is running or not.
Okay.
Yeah, catch you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.